I've publicly came out to the world via an article on theroot.com entitled I'm Black, I'm a Minister, and I'm Gay. And the article had over 4 million reads, traveled all around the world. I did TV interviews, radio interviews after that. The furthest I've done an interview was for BBC in London. And they put me on with a minister who was opposed to opposed of homosexuality. So I've been an advocate for the past 2 years in this space, but have always used my voice to speak up for, somewhat have used my voice to speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves.
Okay, so what did you say? You're Black, you're a pastor.
I'm Black, I'm a minister, and I'm gay.
Minister, and you're gay.
Mm-hmm.
Is there a difference between a minister and a pastor?
Yes.
Like, is that offensive to you? Like when I just said you're a pastor, because I don't know. I just say a spiritual leader is a pastor, or I just throw out whatever. I'd be like, he looked like a reverend. Some people look like a reverend. Some people look like a minister. Some people look like a bishop. Like right now, you kind of look like a bishop based off of my normal view. But what's the difference between it? You said a minister. Like, what's the difference?
So a pastor is over a flock of people. He pastors, he shepherds individuals. A minister does just that. Ministers love to anybody, not to a specific body of people. A bishop is a pastor's pastor. A bishop and apostle goes out and builds churches and pastors pastors. So they might have a church of their own, but they're also pastors of other pastors. And an evangelist travels the region and just ministers and speaks at different events. So, but I simply just go by Brother Ben. People try to, call me all types of things. I have no specific title other than, I'm Brother Ben. And the only thing is, I mean, when you get to the technical parts of stuff, like the word reverend, people actually made that up. There's no reverend. Anywhere in the Bible, there's no reverend.
The reverend. Yeah, it just is funny. Like some people, like I usually call, like if you look really old and you're like old school, you look like you're from down south, you look like a reverend to me. So I'd be like, that's reverend. But that's just in humor. But I didn't know that's not really a real term, which is, I guess, some of the conversation we need to have. All right, well, let's go with I'm Black. All right, you're Black. There's a lot of things going on in the Black community right now. Mm-hmm. Do you have any thoughts or anything you would like to inform us about in regards to being Black in America in this day and age?
Yes. So I am a co-founder of National Movement, which is the largest social entrepreneur space for Black men in America, called Be Me Community. And we build more caring and prosperous communities that are inspired by Black men, and also lift up the more fuller narrative of how Black men contribute every day to build more caring and prosperous communities and more caring and prosperous America. And in that, we spend a lot of our time telling the truth about Black people, whether it's to Black people or others, because a lot of info that is out there is either exaggerated or false. I'll give you a couple of examples.
I was just about to ask. I need an example, some truth here.
I work in truth and facts only, brother. Truth.
Okay.
No alternative facts. And no fake news. And one thing you can't do is, as much as our current president would like to do, or 45 would like to do, is you can't dispute the facts. And we didn't get these facts from like pro-Black websites, right? We didn't go to I'm Black, y'all.com to get these facts. These are in the census. These are in the records. So one, Black men take care of their children more than any other racial group in the United States of America. Whether that Black man is in the home or outside of the home, whether that Black man is married to the child's or the children's mother or not. And we are in the 69 to 70, between 69 and 75 percentile range of Black fathers take care of their children. When it comes to bathing, reading, taking them to school, having engagement. Now, we don't have high rates of Black parents being together, right? And many people think a two-parent household is great. There may be a two-parent household, but that one of the parents is just totally absent from being a parent to that child. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
So our rates for being together are low, but our rates of our Black fathers taking care of their children are very high. And most people are like, no, what about the baby daddy syndrome and deadbeat dad and Black this and Black that? And I usually I say, raise your hand if you hang with a deadbeat Black father. And not too many people raise their hand. Raise your hand if you know of a Black father who takes care of their family.
Hold on. All right. Now, I need to know, what do you consider taking care of their children, or what do you consider a deadbeat dad?
So taking care of your child either financially, which you should, being interactive in that child's life. So the stats where this came from, you can look it up. And an article in the New York Times broke it a few years ago. They based it on bathing, reading, interacting, taking to school, and there were some other things that they based it on that I can't recall. That was the study that was actually done. My determination is if you are, financially taking care of that child and are able to, and are in that child's life contributing to the child's upbringing.
Okay, so I've had a conversation with somebody about this on the show before, where what do you consider, like, let's say, because you just said, even though they're not in the household, mm-hmm. they still can take care of the child, right? So what is a decent, like, is that visiting the child like once a week, once a month? Is that calling the child once a month, once a week? Like, in your estimation, nothing factual unless you have a fact, but what is reasonable for a father to consider themselves actually active in a child's life, in your estimation?
It's all about, in my view, mm-hmm. your desire versus action. If you're only doing this because the courts mandated you to, then you're really not being a father, because the actual love is not there. If the courts say you have to go once a week, if I had a child, I'm going beyond once a week, right?
Miss Doubtfire style. You're going to do whatever you got to do, yeah.
Absolutely, because that's my child. And a lot of people will use the excuse of the courts. I know fathers who are still fighting in the courts today to get visitation rights, to be able to take care of their child. And the courts are actually not on the side of the father. There was a father, and I'll get to the rest of your answer in a moment, but there was a father I know. He was fighting for his child from a drug using mother who had a drug using boyfriend who was abusive to the child. And instead of the courts giving that child to the father, who was an upstanding citizen, clean record, etc., they gave the child to the mother's mother, to the grandmother. Instead of the father. And the father had to come and prove that he was the father, paternity, whatever. Past that, the judge still did not give him rights to, not even, so he tried to go for full rights, didn't get that. Then he said, let me just try to get visitation rights. The judge didn't give him that, against a mother who was on drugs and had an abusive drug. I mean, what the system is stacked up against dads taking care of their children, specifically Black dads. So that's unfair anyway. But to give you the full answer to your question, it's all about desire versus action. And if you have a will to take care of your child, even if the courts say you can only do it once a week or once a month, whatever, that's the best once a week day that child should ever have, because that child is with you and you are building a solid foundation relationship with that child by any means necessary. It's like when you join the military, you protect the country by any means necessary. When you birth a child, you protect, you love that child by any means necessary.
I like that. And I like when you say the desire, and I also like that you gave us something to reach for, where you said it should be the best day. Like if you get that day and the kids, that should be like the greatest day ever. They should never forget that. They should look forward to it, even though you got one out of those 7 days, one day. And I think that's going to touch some father that's out there that is going through that, and they're going to make sure that they plan something that's a really, meaningful. Because you got a lot of, I know a lot of fathers personally that they are active, they have the desire, but when their children come visit them for the day or the weekend, they're not even around the kids. Like they got the kids just doing whatever they want to do. They're not spending that time. So I really like that.
The mother and the grandmom's taking care. I've seen it. So it's not like I'm ignoring the fact that there are deadbeat dads and dads that don't take care of their kids. But what I want to let folks know that there are more dads taking care of their kids than not. And that's evident when you, again, back to the example, when I asked, raise your hand if you know a Black father who's holding it down, taking care of his kids. All of the room raises their hands. I'm like, guys, you know this, but you let the propaganda
that is powerful. That's
tell us our story. The stories you tell become the life that you live in. If you let people continue to tell you these false stories, that's what you'll believe, even though you see the facts right in front of you. Daniel Kahneman, an economist, actually did a study about behavior and how people shop and buy things, and he won a Nobel Peace Prize for it, because although he did cognitive type of studies, it had impacted the economy because the stories you tell shape how you shop, right? So the stories you tell shape what you believe. So when you have something anchored in your mind, when facts come against that anchoring, your mind will reject those facts because you have this anchor in your mind. And there's this anchor that Black men don't take care of their children, that Black men around are having a bunch of babies. And that is absolutely the furthest thing from the truth, because we take care of our children more than any other racial group. And that is facts. Look it up. New York Times article. The study was done by the Center for Disease Control. It's out there. There's nothing more you can say beyond the facts.
And I don't need to even look it up, because I love when people challenge my own thoughts, because I believe I'm very confident of my awareness. And you just challenge me on that, because if I really think about it, I do know a few dads that don't really take care of their kids. But by and large, it's probably like 5%, because I know a lot of people. So I would say probably like less than 5% of the fathers that I know don't take care of their children. So that's really good. So they say perception is becoming our reality right now.
This moment is not about tap water nor your favorite bottled water. This is about alkaline water. Call a distributor today to discuss finance options. 1-800-660-9431. Change your water, change your life. Now back to your favorite podcast.